What's something normal in America that is completely absurd in other countries? Commercials pushing medication in TV ads. Stock footage of a woman in a light summer dress running through a field in slow motion whilst the voiceover guy says Absurdinox can help sufferers of chronic brain freeze by reducing symptoms of brain freeze by over 80%. Enjoy your summers again with Absurdinox. And the woman continues to run through the field very slowly while a different voice mumbles the side effects, which luckily do not affect stock footage woman. For a full 20 seconds I had seen this sort of commercial satirized in movies, but when I went to the US I was surprised to find they really are like that. A different voice mumbles the side effects, which luckily do not affect stock footage woman, for a full 20 seconds. Do not take Absurdinox if you are pregnant, might be pregnant, or are planning on becoming pregnant. Do not take if you are allergic to Absurdinox. Side effects include nausea, diarrhea, indigestion, rash, heart palpitations, sweating, or death. Though you have to take it to know if you're allergic. And also death is just casually thrown in there, no idea how relevant the side effects actually are. Did someone die taking it? Who cares? Not having a credit history being a bad thing? Definitely agree with this. I hated having to get a credit card, borrow to get a good credit score. I am 34 and have never had a credit card. Extremely short vacation time and basically no paid maternity leave. I learned that it's pretty normal in Europe for a month every year vacation time. And like a year of maternity leave and you don't have to fear losing your job. Spending $1 billion on an election. That's the one that is the most important. And it's not a billion anymore. Corporate money sponsoring the election is just more insane. Relatively, the queues to vote. I recall reading last year one state, can't recall which, tried to make it illegal to hand out food or water to those waiting to vote, and my immediate thought as a non-American was why the fuck does it take so long to queue that someone might need food? Voting in the UK for instance, it takes me 10 minutes to walk to a polling location, and even when going at the busiest times, the queue's never been more than 3 people, even in high turnout. And it seems like people in America just accept that voting should be an all-day job, with queues that are multiple hours long because instead of having something sensible like one voting location for every 1,000 people in an area, it's one per county, even if that county has millions of registered voters, and it might even be intentional because one side really benefits from low turnout, and having long queues further discourages voting. Having our drinks loaded full of ice. I talked to a Chinese exchange student and she was shocked at how everything had ice in it. In her country, offering hot water everywhere is the norm instead. Also heard an Irish guy ranting about how it was a complete waste of drink space. Sometimes the Chinese will say cold water is bad for your stomach, or the women won't drink cold drinks on their period. Your body has to burn calories to warm the cold water up to body temperature. This is why Americans are so skinny compared to the rest of the world that takes their drinks warm. Man, all these fools getting fat on hot water. Medical debt. People in the US lose their life savings or acquire massive amounts of debt that require them to declare bankruptcy if they should first have the misfortune of getting sick or injured. A great deal of money is spent on politicians to make them convince us that we shouldn't change this. This easily is the craziest thing. People shouldn't be afraid to go to the doctor's office because of money. It's the saddest thing. We are from the Netherlands and we're on a family holiday in Florida. The day before flying back, my youngest son was running a fever and we were suspecting an ear infection. Since we wanted advice we headed to a children's hospital. After having to wait 3 hours, enormous and beautiful hospital, lots of personnel and no patients, a doctor saw us for 3 to 4 minutes, took his fever and looked at his ears. All was a-okay. Bill was $1,400 used. We are insured so it didn't cost me extra, but I am very aware that is not how this works for most US citizens. Breaks my heart. Cracks in the toilet stalls big enough to make eye contact. The huge gap in the doors of public restrooms. Come to China. In rural areas, or truck stops you might encounter a row of toilets with no divider. And they're the squat variety. Once I was outside of Shanghai, and the newer bathroom was closed. The older one was just like a tiled room with some slope to it, and 2 channels down the middle. People at the top of the mountain would piss to create a river to wash away the poop of people below, who were hovering over the little urine river. It gets worse. One of the people made a lot of poop, making a poop dam causing the urine, Poop mixture to flood the bathroom. For-profit healthcare funded by for-profit insurance corporations. This year in Washington state there is a direct ballot initiative called Whole Washington to enact a statewide universal single-payer healthcare system. It needs a lot of signatures to get on the ballot, but if it did it would be a huge deal. It's estimated to reduce total healthcare expenditures by $5–10 billion a year while leaving nobody uninsured and eliminating medical debt/bankruptcy. This video breaks down the plan for getting it on the ballot this year. Edit, lots of interest in this comment. Wanted to share some more good info. Check out /r/Medicare for all for content about the universal healthcare movement. Want to know what's going on in your state? Check out one-payer states. At the top there is a states tab where you can see which states have active legislation or campaigns for universal healthcare. Shout out to Maine Healthcare Action for being the other state running a universal healthcare ballot initiative. Shout out to CalCare, a statewide universal healthcare bill for California backed by the California Nurses Association. Shout out to NY Health Act, another statewide universal healthcare campaign with a real shot. A majority of their legislature supports the bill, but a few important holdouts have blocked it from moving forward. Owning big trucks and not owning a farm or business where you actually use it. I own a farm and we don't even have a big truck. We use smaller trucks and a tractor. Big trucks are too useless. Get stuck in the mud a lot and can't fit in most areas. Small trucks are easier to store stuff and move around in. If it was truly big, that's what the tractor is for. But how do you convey to the general population how masculine you are? Hyper-realistic testicles on the ball hitch. Just pull out your cock. /DD/YE. I think this format is only common in the US and the Philippines. As a Filipino, it's a significant adjustment for me to work under a British client that uses DD/YE, and to read comeback announcements by K-pop groups that uses YE.M.DD. I like YE/DD. It clears up the confusion between us and European coworkers. If file names are dated, alphabetical order is also in chronological order. I believe YE.M.DD is a logical way of writing dates, being able to sort old file names alphabetically so that they would be chronological as well as one of the reasons. How I wish we drop many of the conventions we inherited from the Americans, such as M/DD/YE, paper sizes, and imperial units, and adapt the ones used in the rest of Asia. Large fountain drink sizes. A large size in Europe is the same as America's small. Like in the TV show Parks and Recreation, where there's a child-size soda that's enormous. The reason it's called child size is that if you liquefied a small child, he'd fit in the cup. Leslie Knope, why is this called a child size? Sweet ums rep well, it's roughly the size of a toddler. So Punese businesses and advertising was a huge laugh for me when I first saw Parks and Rec. Reminds me of GTA advertising lol. My favorite was the Verizon Chipotle Exxon. I must have laughed for a whole minute uncontrollably. Going back to work 6 weeks after giving birth. WTF America? And not being paid for those 6 weeks unless you've accumulated enough PTO. Or if you have maternity leave. Men sometimes get paternity leave too. In the US it is not a law. However, I personally get 5 months paternity leave, much more than my home country. I'm child-free and will die on this hill of 6 weeks not being enough. It's fucked up. Both parents need to be off work for much longer. Not advertising actual costs. If I go to the store, as with every other country I've been to, the price is what I pay. There are no extra taxes or required tips at checkout. In most EU nations it's illegal to list the sales tax, it's included in the price. Same in Australia, but it's GST instead of sales tax. But it must, by law, be included on the advertised price. To the extent that if they mismark the price on the shelf, accidentally leave a sale price up or whatnot, you are entitled to legally only pay that price. So they have to eat the loss if they leave the price marked down. It throws me every time I go to the USA to think don't know how much this will actually cost until I pay at the counter. Excessive medical and educational debt. Any medical and educational debt. Allow people to file bankruptcy on student debt. Watch colleges decide what's really important. Being in crippling debt due to a medical bill with health insurance. Sending Christmas cards with a professional photo of your family on the front. I never thought about it much, but it is a pretty bizarre thing to do. Lul, yeah, I went to visit my cousin who lives in the States and her fridge was full of cards with engagement announcements, birth announcements, Christmas cards, wedding thank yous, etc. All with their faces plastered all over it. So absurd. I really like them. It's rare that you get mail that's from a person, so it's really nice to receive. Some people also include well done summaries of their year so you know what's going on.